where we discuss everything and all things politics, economy, and development in Nigeria and around the world. Welcome from wherever you are around the world to this channel, which is committed to good governance in Nigeria. Here we are talking about this morning about the Christmas Day Massacre in Plateau State, Nigeria, where over 100 people were killed by armed men, and to find out why these killings persist in Nigeria and what can be done to solve the problem. Of course, you are aware that already President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed the security agencies to scout for and apprehend the culprits of the Christmas Day Massacre that took place on Bakos and Barkinladi local government areas of Plateau State, which left 100 persons dead. The attack was blamed on armed men suspected to be headers who attacked 12 communities in Bakos local government area and 3 communities in Barkinladi local government area. According to the survivors, the Monday's attacks were carried out by persons believed to be headers who displaced thousands of people from their ancestral homes and destroyed properties worth millions of naira. Now, this is not the first time that we are hearing about attacks on communities by suspected headers, bandits, separatist organizations, or what have you, in Nigeria. So we're going to look at why these attacks persist. But before we do that, we have to look at how widespread are the attacks by these violent non-state actors, and to now examine why the thing has persisted and successive governments have not been able to address it squarely. Remember that one of the reasons that brought the All Progressive Congress to power in 2015 was because of the Boko Haram. The belief that the People's Democratic Party had mismanaged the war against insurgency, and that the Boko Haram as a problem was not being properly addressed by the government of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. And there were so many people who believed that at that time, that if it was somebody who understood the technicalities and techniques of war, that the person would have been able to manage the situation better. That was why several people voted for Muhammadu Buhari to become the president in 2015, to see how he could be able to manage the Boko Haram and other challenges in Nigeria. Sadly, when Buhari entered, while it may seem now as if Boko Haram had been contained to a limited extent, it was now discovered that killings, while it appears to have reduced in northeast Nigeria, which is the epicenter of Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria, violence had metastasized from that northeast to several other parts of Nigeria, most especially north central, northwest, and eventually southeast, and indeed all over the country in an unprecedented fashion. Now, in all of this, several lives, hundreds of lives, thousands of lives have been lost in Nigeria. In fact, the last data available indicate that about 63,000 Nigerians were killed under President Muhammadu Buhari, as killings spread from the northeast to other parts of Nigeria. And these killings were perpetrated mostly by Boko Haram, bandits, and arms herdsmen. And the last administration was not able to contain this matter, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu has inherited it, and it appears the whole thing is still the way it was under Buhari. Communities are being sacked at will. Now, this massacre in Plateau State is not a new development. There have been persistent killings in Plateau State. Communities displaced and sent away from their ancestral homes. When they are sent away from their ancestral homes, government of Nigeria have not been making efforts to return them back to their communities. Even those who are still in their communities, they are living in fears, like what happened to the communities in Barikin Ladi and Bakos local government. There have always been killings going on in all these communities, and they have not been contained by government. And it is not as if these people who are doing this are aliens from the moon or from the Mars. Simple intelligence should have been able to reveal those who are doing this, their hideouts, where they are operating from, their modus operandi ought to have been known by the security agencies in Nigeria. But that has not been the case. Oftentimes, these groups, they operate and go scot-free, because you hear survivors talking about the fact that these people operated for 2 hours, 3 hours without any security at hand. Security will only emerge after they have finished doing the damage. That is why today in Nigeria, while the country and the world are celebrating Christmas, you ask yourself, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of communities in Nigeria who did not know that this is Christmas period. These people who are in IDP's camp, do they know that it is Christmas? Do they know that it is Christmas? They have been abandoned by their country, at the mercy of bandits, at the mercy of armed herders, at the mercy of Boko Haram and what have you. They have been abandoned. And it is not an issue that the government like to talk about. It is not an issue that people like to talk about. But these issues continue to persist. Why this one is an issue now is because it happened on Christmas Day, and it is 100 people or more that were killed in several communities in northern Nigeria. People cannot go to farm. People cannot go their normal businesses. Everything is on a standstill. IDPs camps are everywhere. People are displaced from their various communities. In Katsina State, which is the home state of the former president Muhammadu Buhari, not less than 12 local governments are literally under the control of bandits. What the new governor have done now was to establish a local vigilante, a kind of state security volunteer task force to counter them. But to what effect? As the Christmas Day killing was going on in Plateau State, there were killings in Zamfara State and kidnapping of people. As I talk to you, there are several university students that are still with bandits. Nobody's talking about rescuing them. Nobody's talking about their freedom. Their family members have lost hope in the capacity of government to help them out. They have been crying all over the place about their loved ones, university students, secondary school students in the hands of the bandits. And that begs the question, why is this insecurity and killings in Nigeria so persistent? From Benue to Kaduna State, from Kaduna State to Plateau State, to Nasarawa State, to Kogi State, Nigeria is literally on the edge. And the politicians are going about doing their thing as if the country is at peace. The country is not at peace. Because non-state actors, armed men, are brandishing guns in several communities, killing people, subjecting them to inhuman treatment. And this thing is persisting because there have not been consequences for those who do this. No consequences. And you can see in Nigeria now, after a few days, these 100 people that were massacred will be forgotten. Another story will come up that will take the center stage. Why is this killings persisting? And who are the people responsible for this? And what are their agenda? Because oftentimes, especially in several northern states, when these communities are displaced and are forced to run away from their ancestral homes, when they come back, they will discover that they cannot be allowed to enter their communities again. A new set of people, headers, have taken over their farmland and everything. That is what is happening in Plateau. It's happening in Plateau State. It's happening in Benue State. It's happening all over the place. All over the place. Persistent killings and sacking of communities. And there seems not to be a coordinated process to stop this. No coordinated process. The whole thing appears haphazard, the way government contain it. It's like when they heard that there's a killing here, then that's when they would give order. Like what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had just done. He has given order to go and apprehend those people. And you think that those people will still be there? They can just retreat. If the communities return to their ancestral home, they will strike again. The synergy seem not to be there between the security agencies that are supposed to, take care of the country, provide protection for ordinary Nigerians. You can see what happened to people of Barkin Ladi and Bokos local government. While they were preparing for Christmas, death met them. Not as a result of natural disaster, but this man-made disaster visited them. And there was no help for them at all. Over 100 persons were killed, properties destroyed, farm produce scattered away. And this story is the same story you get all across Middle Belt Nigeria and Northwest Nigeria. Zamfara is passing through the same problem. Kaduna is passing through the same problem. Niger State is passing through the same problem. Niger State used to be a heaven of peace and tranquility. Today, Niger State is under the grip of bandits. Several local government areas are not reachable. Even if you reach there, you have to be careful. Several local government areas are not reachable. Niger State never had IDPs before. It was under the All Progressive Congress administration that Niger State is now one of the states that have internally displaced persons. All thanks to bandits, killer herdsmen, and what have you. The same thing with Benue State. Before the APC came to power, there were no IDPs in Benue State. Today, millions of people, about 2 million IDPs is what we have in Benue State right now. Several communities cannot go back to their communities. Even those who are in the IDPs and try to go back to their community to go and do farm work, they never come back alive. In Kaduna State, these same characters, the bandits, they have rendered farming activity useless. You can only farm in some parts of Kaduna State with their permission. The bandits were so audacious that they even have their own farms. They tell communities that you have to also farm for us before you can farm your own. And the leaders of the country are busy allocating resources to themselves for their personal enjoyment, while millions of Nigerians are being rendered homeless, are being rendered economically irrelevant by bandits, killer herdsmen, Boko Haram, ISWAP, call them whatever you like. The government has failed to contain them. Because if there had been a strategy to contain them, and that those who perpetrate these things are made to pay a price for their action. These things we are seeing, these killings will stop. It is because the killers are not made to pay a price for their action. We have had instances where even governors are seen start taking pictures with bandit leaders under the guise of negotiating with them. At the end of the day, none of the negotiations had ever worked. None of the negotiation had ever worked. The ordinary Nigerian who live in rural communities continue to bear the brunt of the ineptitude of government in tackling the armed killers who are on the loose across Nigeria. If those who are doing this are made to pay a price, the level of killings will reduce. But because they do it and they get away with it, that is why it persists. And of course, the issue of conflict between farmers and herders, which is also a contributing factor to this issue we are talking about. There should be a strategy to stop herders from, especially the armed herders. We know there are peaceful herders who are doing their thing, but whatever thing you are doing, there is a need to have a coordination. For example, government had to insist that the era of moving cattle in the transhuman system, where you move cattle from one place to another, is gone. No part of the world that is serious in animal husbandry still does that. There is therefore a need for more investment in that sector to force those who are in the business of livestock to practice modern systems of animal husbandry, so that they don't have to move the cattle from one place to another. And that requires a lot of investment. And government should be able to invest in that. Government should be able to invest in that. Look at the vast land in the north. If you have several reserves for cattle in the north, well irrigated so that the feed will be available, there will be no need moving from one place to another. But that requires investment. And the government and the private sector should invest in that, especially the government. Should invest so that we can bring to an end this movement of cattle from one place to another by foot. Because already experts in the sector have said it, that the best of livestock are gotten when they stay in one place, instead of being moved from one part of the country to another, instead of being moved from one state to the other. So if that can be taken care of, then these killings will reduce, especially the one that is linked to headers. It will reduce. And those who are involved in the killings should be apprehended to account for their actions. Those who are sacking communities in several parts of the country, particularly in the north, they should be made accountable for their action. This idea of that when they kill, you can't even identify those who are doing it. No names are attached to it. All you hear is suspected headers, suspected herdsmen. There had to be a database chronicling those of them that have been apprehended in the act and they are made to face the law. But that is not a major priority of our government. Rather, they are allocating resources for things that really don't matter. The amount of money they waste, if they can use it and create reserves in the vast land of northern Nigeria and use technology to provide feed all year round, that the owners of this cattle don't need to move from one place to another. So that when some of these people now carried out act of violence, you now ask the reason why they are doing it, and you deal with them. Even right now, there's no justification for any killings because you want to graze your land or whatever. It's not acceptable. It is not. There's nothing that can make what happened in Barkenladi, in Bokos local government, nothing can make it acceptable. No excuse. There's no excuse whatsoever. But what we are talking about is some of the things that are suspected to be at the root of the problem. The conflict between herders and farmers. It could be addressed by the government using technology, using the carrot and stick approach, and then tackling desertification, which is the result of climate change. These are issues that could be addressed if we are really serious. And then the security agencies themselves should be proactive. They should be able to get information of these things before they happen. They should be able to have intelligence. They should be able to have, even among those who are carrying out these things, should be able to penetrate their ranks and groups so that before they take action, they could be prevented, they could be stopped. But that's not what we are seeing. And we know that Nigeria is heavily under police. Nigeria is heavily under police. And our landmass and our population is huge. This country does not have enough men, enough boots on ground to cover every part of this country. The country is too large, and the security agencies, their numbers are limited. But that is where you now need technology That's why we need satellite technology. We know that there are vast lands in the north, large millions of hectares that are not occupied. Now, these unoccupied spaces had now provided cover for violent non-state actors. But if we have technology, satellite technology, you can use it to monitor their movement. These people that perpetrate killings, monitor their movement and be able to deploy men of the security agencies to deal with them at the appropriate time, and with surprise attacks. But where you have a situation where we are not applying technology, we are not applying enough human intelligence, and you have vast land that are unoccupied, it makes things difficult for security agencies and makes things easier for these non-state actors to attack communities and disappear into thin air. So the way I see it, this Christmas Day massacre is a reminder to the leaders of Nigeria that the insecurity bedeviling Nigeria has continued to persist, and they are not doing anything about it. They are not doing much about it. Several farming communities are living in fears, and sometimes people think that the major reason why foodstuff in Nigeria, the price of foodstuff in Nigeria is skyrocketing, that is basically because Bola Ahmed Tinubu removed fuel subsidy. It's not only that. One of the reasons for the high cost of foodstuff in Nigeria today is the insecurity. As a result of insecurity, several farming communities in Nigeria have been displaced. And strangely, these communities that are displaced are literally the food basket of Nigeria. If you talk about production of rice, you talk about Niger State. Niger State used to be the largest producer of rice in Nigeria. You talk about Kebbi State. You talk about Sokoto State. All these places I'm mentioning to you now, none of them do you have farmers that can confidently go to their farms without fear of being killed, without fear of being kidnapped by bandits. You talk about Plateau State. You talk about Kaduna State. All of these places are known for farming. Somebody is alleging now that government is complicit. I don't want to believe that. What I want to believe is that they have not been able to do enough, because those who are being killed are mostly ordinary Nigerians. Those who are being killed are ordinary Nigerians. They are the ones that goes to farm. They are the ones that are being kidnapped. You can see that when there was kidnapping of the train passengers from Abuja to Kaduna, it was on the front burner because the children of the elite were among those that were kidnapped. Some of the elite themselves were kidnapped. But many of the kidnappings going on now in Zamfara, in Katsina, in Sokoto, in Kebbi, in Kaduna, in Plateau State, in Niger. These are basically ordinary people, ordinary Nigerians, ordinary farmers. So the leaders are not taking it as serious as they would have taken it if these people had been kidnapping senators, if these bandits had been kidnapping senators and their family members, governors and their relations and stuff. Perhaps they will take it much serious. It's because it's ordinary people that are suffering in the villages. And you know that in Nigeria, 75% of occupation of Nigerians are farming related. Most Nigerians are farmers. Now, many of them cannot go to farm. Many of them cannot be able to feed themselves. Those who have been sacked from their communities are living in IDP camps. Those who have not been sacked, they cannot go to the farm because they don't know if they go, they can come back. Some farmers cannot even go to harvest their crops without permission from bandits. So you now ask yourself, why is it that foodstuffs are very expensive in Nigeria today? Insecurity is part of the reason. A big chunk of farmers that feed the nation they no longer have access to their farmlands, which is a very sad story, especially for a country like Nigeria, where the majority of the people are farmers. And this conflict, this fear of farmers going to farm is nationwide. Be it in Edo State, be it in any state you can think of in Nigeria today. People cannot confidently go to their farms because of fear of being kidnapped, because of fear of being killed. For the sake of food security of Nigeria, the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should pay more attention to the issue of securing the country, the issue of providing security for farmers to be able to go to farm. Nigeria has some of the most productive people in the world. They have some of the most productive farmers in the world, despite the fact that our farmers are basically subsistent, but they have been able to feed this nation. They have been able to feed this nation. Most Nigerians eat local rice. They are produced here in Nigeria. One of the things credit can give to former President Buhari was that the encouragement himself and the MFLA gave to rice farmers in Nigeria. Nigeria was able to beat Egypt to become the largest producer of rice in the continent. All they need to move to bring the price down, all they need now is to produce more to bring the price down in Nigeria. But how can that be done now when the insecurity is getting out of hand and farmers cannot go to farm? Farmers cannot go to farm. And you know that this is basically what they do. That's how they get money to feed their family. That's how they get money to send their children to school. Everything they do revolves around farming. So that's the challenge. How do you stop the killings in the rural communities in Nigeria so that farmers can go back to farm? I have said it. One of the things that must be done is for the security agencies to be proactive. 2, it is to stop herdsmen from moving cattle from one point to the other. Anti-open grazing laws should be applicable nationwide, and government should be able to provide reserves at subsidized rates for herders, and use technology, irrigation technology, to provide feed for these cattle at their reserve all year round, as it is being practiced in Israel, Brazil, and all over the world. That will bring a permanent end to the issue of farmers-herders clashes. Then those who engage in banditry, insurgency, should be apprehended and made to face the law. That is the solution to persistent killings in Nigeria. Government must be determined to do it. Government must be determined to do it. The reason why these killings persist is that those who are doing it believe that they can get away with it. And once this mentality continues, they will not stop. But once they notice and observe that when they do it, they are apprehended, they will be caught, because government is using a multifaceted security architecture to get at them, using technology, then they will stop. The reason why criminality is not much in developed countries is because those who participate in it know that they will be caught, or the likelihood of being caught is so high that it becomes a deterrent to others. It becomes a deterrent to them to participate in crime. You think that those in America, those in Britain, they don't have criminal intentions. Some of them have criminal intentions, but they can't carry it out, knowing that there is a clear cobweb of technological security architecture that could cut up with them, and they can't escape it. That's why you think that they are much more peaceful than other parts of the world like Nigeria. So we need to apply technology. We need to look at the root causes of the killings going on and nip it in the bud, so that we can be able to have a peaceful society, a peaceful country, where the farmers can go to farm, where people can travel without fear of being killed, without fear of being kidnapped, where communities like Barkin Ladi and Bokos can sleep with their 2 eyes closed. It is achievable if only our leaders will reduce their greed, and those monies that they are stealing and starting away in foreign bank accounts, they can use it in the country to provide security. It will reduce poverty in the country. It will increase prosperity for all, instead of the situation where we have in Nigeria, the situation we have now in Nigeria, where the elites have stolen all the money and the people are living in poverty. and insecurity is the order of the day. Thank you for being part of this live stream. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. Please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.